So I love the beginning of patch notes because there's a button you press, and I've probably said this before. You hit start streaming, and it says, please wait. And you know for a second that your face is just there, and you're waiting to do an intro, but it's stupid because you know you're on a delay. But we're officially live now because I've been talking long enough that I know it's happening. So welcome to Patch Notes, everyone. I, of course, am the Honey Badger. And joining me today is not bonus content. He is dead to me. No, he's not dead to me. He's just away out of town. So instead, I have recruited the Skill Factory. So welcome.
Howdy, glad to be here. Glad to be here.
I'm glad you could join me because doing this by myself is kind of boring. So it's good to have another.
Have you ever
person.
solo casted?
I have done it a couple times.
That is oof.
It's rough.
That's an experience.
The other problem too with solo casting anything is when you talk, like you want like a 5-second break to catch your breath, maybe drink some water or something, but then it just feels dead and you're like, oh damn it, I'm the only one talking. It's terrible. Terrible.
Gotta fill. Where's my fill?
Where's my yeah, exactly.
Play me off, Johnny.
If people don't know who Skill is, check him out. I actually stream with him sometimes. He joins us in viewer games. He was there a couple days ago actually playing with us, and he's been in other games. He's also been in a handful of A to Z jungle games, so you probably have recognized his voice before, but if you haven't seen him, voila.
Yeah, you're the reason I need the heating pad for my back those nights.
Because the carries?
Because the carries.
Because the carries. All right, well, let's go ahead and jump in. Can I pet your beard? Let's jump into the patch. And let's kick things off with Jhin, who will be released during this patch, but won't be out right away. It's a week after. And this is pretty typical. So we don't typically talk too much about the new champion. Have you seen too much about Jhin?
I've seen a little bit. Heard, that he's going to be a lot of fun and all that stuff, but it's one of those things where you could speculate a lot for the champion, and you could play him in the PTR and be like, man, he's so OP on the PTR. But I always go back to these champions that are played in the PTR, and I saw, I think a good example was Box.
Wait. PTR, Public Test Realm? Isn't that Smite?
Isn't that right? What do they have for?
PBE.
PBE.
Same difference. I mean,
it's environment. Well, I have a PBE account. I'm not even paying attention. But anyways, so on the PBE, the public realm where things have not been released yet. I think I watched Box play Gnar, and he was playing all damage Gnar and one-shotting people into a wall and smashing them with rocks and stuns. And then he came out, and everyone was like, "You cannot play this guy damage. He just becomes useless."
Oh,
and even Box changed. So the release of a champion when everybody gets to play him in high-level play and low-level play is way different than what he's like test round.
Yeah, I actually kind of avoid the PBE. A lot of people know this. I sometimes play on it, but not often. Everybody's really bad. There's a lot of really bad people who play on it. That's one thing I've noticed over and over. The other thing, too, is people, if they don't get what they want because they want to play something new or they wanted to play a certain skin because it just came out, a lot of people just give up and don't try. So
Right. Yes, because there's no
real consequences over there, right?
Yeah. You could punish people, but it's not like you invested money in that account or, you got a bunch of, badges and stuff like that, content that you can't get unless you play well, So people are just like, nah, I lose my...
Actually, I saw something that made me laugh this week. Somebody posted that they had, it was ranked Jhin. And I was like, he's not out. You're playing ranked on the PV. That's like the equivalent of winning, poop for breakfast to eat. Who cares about ranked on the PBE? Who's over there trying? It's terrible.
Yeah.
So yes, he's coming out. I look forward to him because I want to see what he's like. He looks neat, so I'll say that much. But next we have Shen, whose update I am also very looking forward to. I like Shen as a champion. I think he's fun. I know he's pretty simplistic, but now he will be less simplistic and still probably just as fun. I'm looking forward to his release, which I'm assuming it'll be tomorrow.
I believe so as well. I think that usually if they do a rework, that comes out right away. Mm-hmm. I'm excited to see Shen. I think that he's going to be more... I think we might lose more top lane Shens. I think top lane Shen might kind of start to dwindle. We might see more jungle Shen, depending on his clear.
Yeah.
If he clears well, I think we'll see a lot of jungle Shen. That'll come back, which was a big thing, I don't know, season 2, end of season 1-ish. And then we'll see support Shen. I think he'll be a very support tank oriented champion.
His new kit kind of pushes that way, especially with the invulnerable circle thing. It's kind of similar essence to Poppy and how she can block people from engaging. You know, there's been a lot more new things coming with champions that keep people alive or protect them. Like just for example, the last 4 I can think of. Bard has an ultimate that can stop all damage, in a sense, and it's Onya's. Kindred can keep everybody alive inside of a circle. Shen's new thing can keep everybody alive inside of a circle for short duration. There's a lot of new mechanic. Well, not new, but this mechanic of let's keep an area of people alive is kind of new to the game. I kind of feel, and they kind of keep pushing it on all the new champions just a little bit. And Poppy, to a certain degree, has a anti-disengagement circle. So
yeah, and now Shen has more allied champion interaction with his abilities, right? Where before it was just like you could attack something that he had once queued, and he could ult you.
Yep.
And that was really his only other champion interaction. I mean, taunts obviously affected their champions, but there was just nothing else AoE built or anything like that in his kit. So, as a support, all he did was like, well, I have CC and I give a little bit of sustain. And then typically I'm ulting out of the lane. Like as support Shen, you don't get to ult your AD carry in a 2v2 very often because you're in melee range doing damage. So it'll be cool to see. I think he'll be a little bit harder to master. I think right now Shen is very, like if you can get his taunt and you have map awareness, you're good to go.
Yeah.
Like that's all it is, and you just QW everything else. So
yeah.
I think he'll have a lot more mastering with where his sword is placed based on where you are and where the enemies are, which will be really cool to see.
It'll be really when I was watching the spotlight, I was already seeing what I can do play wise with him. That is going to take people a while to figure out, I think. But it's just I always think it's fun to try to figure out how well you can use a champion right as they come out. So he's going to be fun. I'm really interested in all that sword play. It looks awesome. So first up on actually who's getting changes is Dr. Mundo. Or as I called him, Dr. Unkillable. Because he is so broken right now, it feels like. He's banned all the time. So, first off is E. They're going to be changing the minimum bonus attack damage on that. It's going to be less at earlier levels. It still scales up to 100, but it's going to be less. He does too much with it right now. He can easily win lane, and he's too tanky to win lane easily, so they're going to cut that down a little bit. Bonus damage still scales by 1% per 1% of Mundo's missing health. And all that fun stuff, so all that's still there. He gained 100% bonus AD, now totaling up to 200. The ratio is unchanged. We're letting you know because the math is pretty hard. Okay, neat. Thank you, Riot. And then on his ultimate, so the cooldown being a solid 75 seconds at all ranks, which he always builds a Spirit Visage and other things that typically have cooldown reduction, which would get that below a minute easily as the game goes on. Now it's going to start at 100 seconds. Because 75 seconds, to me, in lane, like, he hits 6 and he needs to ult. He'll just ult right away, get all his health back. And he can stay around for, 2 waves and essentially his ult's back up? Stupid.
Right.
So,
I think that's the biggest change. That's what you're going to see is that his early game, I used to play him a lot in the jungle, and, you use your ult for sustain. It wasn't like I need to chase somebody down, or I'm going to get low, I'm in the middle of a skirmish, and I want to ult for the sustain during this fight. It was like you power clear, you get really low on health, you ult, so you're doing more damage, and then you're back to full health by the time you get to the next camp. And you just cruise right through, and then you're full health when you go to gank. So now, at 100 seconds until you're level 11 is going to be a big difference on when you ult between 6 and 11.
And 6 and
5 is like, well, by level 11, you probably already have a Spirit Visage. So it's like, it's not going to really affect that much. It'll be a little bit, you might feel it, but then it even gets less in late game, though, which is a little interesting.
At that point, he's already tanky, though. But I think the big one is that, like you just said, between 6 and 11, that's Mundo's ramp-up period. He's either destroying or going to do pretty much nothing and just be a frontline at some point. But between 6 and 11, he's either getting fed and running away with his lane in the game because he's going to get to a point where you can't touch him because he's going to have a full item ahead of you. But so that's that's a big area where it'll slow him down a lot.
Yeah, and they really kind of double hit him on his early clear in his early game because the minimum bonus attack damage, you don't ever really build any damage items on Mundo. So that bonus attack damage from masochism is like your bread and butter when it comes to doing damage to minions. Now, when you're low health, it'll still be great, but when you come into the jungle above 50% health, you're not going to have a good amount of extra damage from that on the first few levels of it. You might see people start like prioritizing that to level it up to give you the extra damage from your autos. But then again, you might see them just scrap it and just use it as an auto attack reset for extra damage. So
yeah, it's true. I like, but overall, I do like the changes to Mundo. I think they needed to happen. So I mean, he's getting banned every game pretty much because he's too strong. So
they did, and I think he's still going to dominate lower elos.
Oh yeah, for sure.
On silver into gold, he's still going to be great. I don't think anybody's going to punish him until you get into that high gold kind of platinum, where people in the jungle and in lane really know how to punish cooldowns.
Yep.
So when Mundo's ult's down, you're going to be like, hey, Mundo's ult's down, come up top, let's kill him.
Yeah, Mundo's for sure. Like you said, in the lower elos, I mean, Mundo's champion, you can build straight tank, and regardless, you're going to do damage. So you can really punish in those long, extended, sloppy team fights. He stays alive the whole time. He can keep punishing people. So just land your Qs, and I mean, you can easily close the gap on anyone, let alone his Qs do plenty of damage. So cool.
And they can't nerf that Q anymore. I mean, that cleaver's already about as thin as it gets.
True. Next up, we have Elise. Now, Elise, so you saw her prominence rise back up because she got buffed at the end of last season when they gave her cocoon duration, when they moved that back up. So she's been a prominent jungler ever since, but she's getting some tweaks now because she's still strong. So in general, in her human and spider form, she's losing 5 movement speed. Not a ton, but a little bit definitely. She's pretty damn quick as that spider. And then her spiderling on her W, the magic damage of that is being decreased all across the board. So even early all the way into late, equally, it's going to be 15 points down, taking a little bit of damage out of her. This is the line I think they float with Elise. Like, I'm fine with these. I'm honestly I'm fine with these changes to Elise because as long as they keep the stun on her cocoon where it's at, she's still a very viable champion. And this is like, you remember when they floated between full damage Elise and then they changed her and everybody did full tank CDR Elise? And like, they float this line where you're not sure what you're supposed to do with her. And you see this in the LCS and in professional play. They take her, like some teams will still build her full tank and some teams will still build her full damage because she kind of floats the line now. So I don't know if this is going to push her into either of those directions, but anytime they take damage off of her, it's usually pushing her back towards tank. But I think she still can be played with damage, especially with the new jungle item, which is so much better than the previous one.
Yeah, and honestly, with the new jungle item, you're looking at 5 movement speed in both forms.
Yeah.
Like, what is 5 movement speed? It's not anything considerable. It's not like she's not going to be able to catch up to you and throw a cocoon into your back. And then the spiderling, a very small amount of damage. I mean, very minuscule, like what, 15 per level of across the board? 15 damage on base damage. Not going to be that big of a deal. A lot of people max her cocoon in E anyways, and her W is just like the last thing that you rank up because what else is there to rank up? So it's not going to really. I don't think she's going to really be affected by this change. I think she's still going to be a great jungler. I think she's still going to be top tier if you play her well, because she's a high mechanic champion. She'll always be really good for people that play her really well.
Yeah, completely agree. Because her kit is based around your ability to execute her kit. If you can't execute her kit, she's seriously terrible. Like, I have been yelled at for missing things because you missed the cocoon, you missed the engagement, you missed the repel, you missed all types of things. You just don't do anything at all. You throw a spider at him that runs at him, and then it hits a minion wave, and it's like, oh, okay, sorry.
I just play her because there's a lot of girls that play League now, and I know they're afraid of spiders. So I think it's a really good idea, and it gives you that extra little edge, right? You know, that little mind game. So.
That's true. That's a good point.
Like Gangplank. Who's afraid of Gangplank? Everybody loves...
Pirates.
Pirates of the Caribbean. So it's like...
There's just Captain Jack.
Yeah.
We're just good to go.
He showers and is probably a respectable man. Like they don't get very rapey in those movies. So they really tone him down. Everybody's like, oh, pirates are great. We love pirates.
They're so friendly and funny. Who knew? Next up on the zip patch, we have Fiora. This is just an interesting slight change. I actually do want to hear your opinion on this one. Passive, duelist stance, direction selection. That sounds fun. It alternates between top right and bottom left sides instead of just random.
I think this is just gonna level Fiora out, right? Because you could see a Fiora in lane that got like these passive procs and would just be like proc in easy spots to hit, and then you just stomp on them and you'd send them home or you'd kill them.
Mm-hmm.
This is gonna give more of it's gonna kind of equalizer, right? Because there's on the other side of that where every time you get her passive on somebody, it's like you get to like dive into a minion wave or use cooldowns to get there, and those aren't good. So I think that it's not really a nerf. It's basically just taking a little bit of the RNG out.
Yeah.
Like it's more predictable. So you'll be able to you'll be able to hit in one side and be like, I know it's going to be coming on the other side. Like I need to dance around this champion.
Yeah.
Which is kind of the way they want to have her as like a dancing duelist. But it's not. I don't think it's a nerf or a buff. I think it's just something that kind of needed to happen. It's kind of a quality of life change that's going to make her a little bit better.
Yeah, it does feel like a quality of life change, although I don't want to see it accidentally become a buff. I can see it becoming an accidental buff. That's the part that scares me because I don't think she needs any buff. She does too much true damage as it is.
Right. So the vitals will be very. It'll be interesting to see how they kind of turn out.
Yeah.
I think it'll be kind of I think it'll be a little bit of a buff for lane because you'll be able to predict where they're going to be in the lane and it's more of a one-on-one situation. But in team fights, I think that now they're more predictable and it invites counterplay for both in lane and in team fights. Like, if you see the vitals coming on you, you can predict where the vitals are going to be versus getting like multiple sided vitals back and forth. If it goes from like top to right side, top right side, top right side, you can get just trash fire.
Yeah.
Whereas this, you see top right and you're like, oh, I know where it's going next. I know where I need a position.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I personally would like to see a Fiora nerf in the future in the patch. Hopefully we'll get it. I think she dominates too much top lane right now, and she snowballs it way too fast when she does, personally. I don't think anybody snowballs a game quite as hard as she currently does.
She's definitely a strong champion. But once again, at least has a high skill cap. Not a point-and-click champion.
True.
If you can master the repost, like you're good to go. That's what you need.
Yeah.
Everything else is very easy in her kit, but that's something really difficult to master. I mean, you can spam it and do okay, but the right time, reposting the stun instead of the slow, or reposting multiple people like jumping in on you, like a Zac in midair, like crazy stuff like that. Like you can really go far with it, or you can just repost that one projectile.
Yeah, kind of doodle around. Yeah. I will say maybe this is a champion where they're gonna let because sometimes Riot will let a champion be strong for a while, then they'll bring him down as like the middle of the season comes around. Like champions rise and fall throughout the season. They don't usually want one champion dominating the entire season length.
Right.
So we'll see. We'll see if Fiora gets that treatment. So
they really love their numbers where they're like 87 champions were played competitively this season.
They do like that.
Love that stuff.
They love it when Oddball makes it to ranked, like a super weird pick. And like back in the day, it would have been Poppy. Like Poppy got played.
I know.
Like, Mordekaiser got played. Somebody played Singed.
Remember back in the day, who was it? Atlanta was playing. He used to play for a team called Picture of a Goose, and he was subbing in for one of these teams that was in Challenger.
Yeah.
And he was playing mid, and he picked Poppy, and he just ran over them.
Yeah.
Right. And mid's not a good lane for Poppy. It's very difficult to land stuns.
Oh yeah. No walls.
At all. So, but he ran over them, and he went 10-2, and was one-shotting people. Like Lichbane Poppy, who's just blam. And everybody's like, "Oh, Poppy's so broken." I'm like, "No, that's a pocket pick right there. That's And that was what Atlanta was known for. He was really fun to watch. If you ever want to look up, one of those players from back in the day.
Guardsman Bob
Guardsman Bob
and his redonkulous Udyr play.
I remember Bob. I remember Bob's playlist, actually. I used to listen to his, he had a Groove Shark playlist.
Oh, yeah?
And I used to jam out to that, because he had some good taste in music, man.
Awesome.
Whatever happened to Bob?
I don't know.
Go.
Maybe he's a different player now with a different name, and he's just playing, and he's like, that was actually me back then. That'd be funny. That'd be super funny.
Now
It was
he's a
actually
cow step.
Dyrus. It was just
It's cow step now.
Yeah. Next up, we have Gangplank. This is a pretty simple, straightforward change. On his cannon barrage, he's going to be getting the cooldown on it to be longer. Instead of it being 140, 130, 120, it's going to be 160, 150, 140. He typically builds CDR on him anyways, not a huge deal. Also, I will say, late game, it always felt like his ult was always up anyways. So I don't actually, this isn't outrageous at all, and Gangplank's still a very strong champion, so this is
I think it's a good
justified.
tweak.
Yeah.
I think it's a good tweak. It really doesn't hurt his laning phase that much.
Not a lot.
Most Gangplanks in laning phase are just they're just dropping the ult other lanes, in the middle of the jungle, wherever you can pick up an assist. So maybe that'll change this a little bit. But I do think that his ult is probably the strongest part of his kit.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll be good to see, less ults on the map and more strategic ults.
Yeah, I agree.
Versus just making it rain cannonballs all people.
Yeah. Although overall, I don't think this is that impactful. So, but just a change that we can totally understand and is okay. So, next off we have Karma. Karma is going to receive a mana reduction at all ranks on her W. So instead of 70 to 90, it's going to be 50 to 70, which I think is much more in line for her as a support. Also, this is an ability you never used in lane because it felt not ever, but not as often as you maybe wish to, because it did feel like a waste of mana if you weren't able to fully get the root on it or, the stun. So this maybe makes it so you want to play it.
It puts you in the danger zone. That W always puts you in the danger zone. I used to play Karma a lot. Not as much support, but more mid. So your W was very good. It'll maybe give the mid Karma a little bit of a buff.
Yeah.
But support Karma is still really dangerous to run after somebody to get the tether.
She brings a lot of early damage too.
Yeah.
She can be quite pokey. So always remember. And actually, Karma with Thunderlords. Well, although foreshadowing, we're going to talk about Thunderlords coming up.
Right.
But she can aggress pretty effectively early on. And then I think, honestly, a thing people don't see too often, maybe I'll do it for fun sometime and make a video. Tank Karma is scary as hell. She's so hard to get to. She always has shields. It's like tank CDR Karma. She always has shields. She always has a little bit of damage, and she can keep getting life off of you because of her focus resolve. It's she's seriously super hard to kill. It's hilarious. So
yeah.
She
has really good. Her base stats are really good on that champion.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people knows how good the base damage and base shield and things like that are. She really doesn't need a lot of AP to be a great utility champion.
Yeah.
But she needs a lot of AP to do damage.
Yeah,
so it's really difficult. Once the Burger King got the pentakill with her, everybody's like, oh my god, why haven't we been playing Karma? And then they tried and they're like, she doesn't do any damage. Who broke this champion between me watching it on LCS and me playing it at home?
I think every time I see a Karma change, it always makes me want to play old Karma. Because old Karma was really fun in my opinion. But she was too strong because her heals were too good and her damage was too good on that. When she did the weird finger butterfly thingy?
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell you call it, but all the weird stuff. It looked sweet and it was devastating because she could turn around and she could do it to everyone because her teammates would be in it and the enemy would be in it and all her teammates would heal and everybody would die on the other side. And it was like, we're all alive, you're all dead. Remember when you were winning that team fight? Not anymore. So, yeah, old Karma was super fun.
Nerf the butterflies. They had to nerf the butterflies.
They had to nerf them. Speaking of butterflies, Kha'Zix. He's not really a butterfly, but he does fly through the air with his wings. So the change that they're doing now with him on his Void Spike, it can now be buffered mid-jump so that Kha'Zix can cast it slightly before landing. So he basically can when Kha'Zix would jump in right on top of somebody and he basically hit Q, W, and Hydra all at the same time and just be a big burst of damage and people would disappear. Essentially, you can kind of do that again. So, yeah, same thing with Void Assault. Can now be buffered mid-jump so that Kha'Zix can cast it slightly before landing.
Yeah, once again, not really a big buff. More quality of life. You don't shoot it and then jump. You don't land then shoot it. You don't land then. You could theoretically be midair and be like, oh no, mistake, and then be stealth when you hit the ground.
Yeah.
and then run off like a cockroach in a bright light. Like you could get out of there. But I don't think we're going to see much change. Nobody's going to be like, ooh, now that I can cast stuff midair,
Yeah.
great. And I don't think we're going to see people maxing W. There's no more.
Get on Reddit right now. Get on the forums, guys. Kha'Zix is more viable. He's viable finally because of this.
Yeah.
This is what did it.
He's totally viable.
Yeah. Actually, I think this actually does reward the really good Kha'Zix players, just because they know that they'll know that inner working a little bit, and it'll just make them a tiny bit more efficient, which is a good thing, especially when you're jumping on people and getting resets. But I have been playing Kha'Zix a little bit more lately because of the slight buffs. I've never been a big Kha'Zix fan, but lately I like him a lot more because the buffs they gave him were just enough to make him way more rewarding to play. Because at the beginning of last season or in the middle of last season, he had really hard problems with the jungle and clearing because clear was weird at one point. And then they had nerfed him to that point too. They're giving him some slight buffs and they've changed some things in the jungle that I think he's much better. Also the new items, some of them are good on him too. So, yeah,
I think the
I'm okay
Kha'Zix
with
players
where
that
he's
were Kha'Zix players are going to continue to play Kha'Zix, and then everybody else is not.
Yeah.
They had nerfed his W back when you used to be able to do this. They had nerfed his W.
Mid lane.
The mid lane
Magix, because you could just mage Kha'Zix. You just build a tier and spam W, and it did 1,000,000 damage.
Right.
I believe High played a lot of it in the LCS.
Yeah, I mean there won't be much more of that.
No.
Although I'm sure that a particular Riot caster would love to go.
Oh, the Woolooloos. Oh, those are great.
Oh man.
Next, yeah, he's the best. Actually, fun fact about the LCS. Last week, I tweeted at Kobe, and he favorited it, so made me feel good.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Did you know that I met Shox in person one time, and she had watched stream and cast before?
I hate you.
She knew my name. She was like, "Oh yeah, no, I've watched you," and I was like,
I have to go die now quietly.
Can't breathe.
All right. Next is Kindred. Pretty solid stuff. Kindred is going to be getting some nerfs. Not a big surprise here. She's pretty dang strong in the jungle. If you play her right, that is. Dance of Arrows, 5 mana cost at all ranks is going up. Whatever. Not a huge deal, but 5 more mana. And then Mounting Dread, the Wolf Pounce damage is being reduced by 20 base damage at all ranks. The rest of it remains unchanged. So it's just a little bit off of her early game, you could say. So
yeah, I mean that's when you're really having mana issues. Typically, is during the early game.
Mm-hmm.
Dance of Arrows is spammed quite a bit.
Yeah.
The pounce damage being dropped. Once again, it's the base damage and the percent health is where the real damage comes from.
But
That's
early,
strong.
Yeah, that's true. But early game, that extra 20 is, that can take a little bit of power out of those early ganks or those early engagements because she's pretty strong on them early.
Yeah.
Because this is like Mounting Dread is the bread and butter of getting an early gank off and to work and to succeed. So 20 off of it, yeah, it's only 20, but that might be the 20 that keeps you alive or not. So it just takes a tiny bit of power out of her early game. I think late game she's still going to be fine, and she does a lot of damage late game. Or they do a lot of damage late. I still don't know what to say for that because it's kind of...
And she's not one of those champions that people are really banning. She doesn't have some crazy high win rate. This is just like a little tweak. Like, well, she's doing really well in the games she does get in, so let's just give her one little notch on the volume knob and see how that goes.
Yep. So I'm okay with
They've
this.
definitely been bit.
Sense.
I mean, Riot's been bit many times with big nerfs.
Oh, yeah.
Like, oh, no. Take off the percent health damage. It's too much.
Yeah.
And then, she just gathers dust.
Riot does most of the time they do the small tweaks, which is fine because they tweak their game every 2 weeks. Then there's games like Dota that do the giant. They just give champions and heroes bigger swords, and they say go, and they do that for like 6 months. And then everybody's like, holy shenanigans, we're playing this for 6 months, and then the other stuff that was crap was got nerfed or whatever. And then like 6 months later, it's like here's a bigger sword for you now. They just give everybody bigger swords. So,
yeah.
But luckily, Riot patches their game all the time and tweaks it, which makes it change it a little bit and it keeps everybody evolving their gameplay. And they can do little changes and they can get things right where they want them. So, next, actually, this is going to be fun conversation. Nunu. Nunu is in a patch. That doesn't happen all the time.
And honestly, so going over the changes here, right? He gets his cooldown on his Ice Blast, which is his bread and butter spell, right? It's his snowball.
Correct.
For people that don't know what Ice Blast is.
It's going down.
Right. It's going down as the game progresses. Really good. Kind of helps him scale a little bit better. Everybody maxes that first. He's going to get like a free, couple seconds of CDR on that ability. Good. The cost is going down. Also very good. Because, if it's more spammable, you're going to be out of mana because he does have mana issues if you're not auto-attacking things.
Mostly late game, though. It's still,
Right.
I mean, it's a little bit cheaper early, but it's mostly late game. Although the next one is interesting, and this is less annoying, although it is on a lower cooldown itself, but the slow duration is being decreased by 1 second. So less duration out of it.
And so the less duration is a big deal. Because most people are running Swifties now anyways, which reduces the duration of slow effects on you.
Yeah.
And reducing the duration of the slow effect plus the Swifties really hits it hard.
Yeah.
So the overall change, I don't really feel it here.
Okay, yeah.
Because we get down to slow strength, the slow strength goes up, but if it's not on him, who cares, right? I mean, it gives that early game, gives another 20%. So his, I don't know, by the time he ganks the first time, he's probably already going to have 40, 45% slow, whereas before he would have had 30 or 40%.
Yeah.
So it's not a huge difference, especially, I think it's just going to be that early game, right? It'll give him a little burst in the early game, and then he's probably going to lose out a little bit on the late game when you can actually afford to get some AP items. Because as we go down to these changes, base damage nerfed,
and
really
ratio
in the late game. I mean, not only did they nerf the ratio by 10%, but they nerfed the late game damage. The base is 35, 25 and that's 35 is pretty much you're going to rank that first. So,
but my counter to all of this is because of the cooldown on it going down to 4 seconds now. 45% CDR on him now lets you snowball basically every 2 seconds.
Right. So you would be able to perma-stun somebody if they didn't have swiftness boots.
True. The duration will last as long as the cooldown essentially is, which is crazy. What we think we're going to see from this, or at least what I think we're going to see from this, I think support Nunu will be back.
I think that we will get a little resurgence of support Nunu, definitely.
Yeah. Which I think was fun.
With an AD carry.
Yeah.
And he scales in the late game incredibly with an AD carry. But kind of with the way the meta is right now, I don't know if he offers enough for his teammates versus other supports.
Yes, he offers interesting peel. He's really not an engaged champion. He's 100% peel most of the time. Yeah, you can if somebody gets too close and you hit him with a snowball, you can kind of engage on it, but he's mostly there for peel. The one thing he does a good job to is empowering ADCs with this crazy attack speed and movement speed. And the question is, are the current set of ADCs that are seeing a lot of play benefiting from that buff as well? Because certain ones don't benefit from that as well. Corki doesn't really care to get that. I mean, yeah, cool, he'll take it, but he doesn't really do as much with that as a Caitlyn or a Tristana or a Kalista. Although, when I think about it, Kalista Nunu could be a neat combo. She could throw him in, he could snowball and start to ult.
That's true, but he's really got to get some tank on him late game to be able to make that work.
Completely true.
And with so much CC now, it's really difficult to get a good ult with him.
Yeah.
It's so situational. It seems like the only time you see a good Nunu ult is either you bait somebody into a bush, the Empire strategy,
Love that
or it's like an extended fight, right? Everybody's blowing everything. You're kind of chasing them down. You can snowball somebody, get in front of them, and then ult.
Yeah. And
that gives you that kill right there. So it'll be interesting.
It will be. We might have to try this a couple times because I like him. I think he's a funnish champion. Funnish, but it's good to see them give some love to champions that you don't typically see played. So, always a fan of that. Next on the list we have Poppy. So Poppy has some small bug fixes to keep track. Iron Ambassador. If a target dies before the shield reaches it, the shield will not return. The shield will now return to Poppy when it kills a champion with a zombie passive, such as Kog'Maw or Karthus, etc. When the shield is on the ground, it will start its outro animation earlier so Poppy knows when it's time to say goodbye. And then on her Hammer Shock, they've improved the EQ combo. They improved it actually in 6.1. Hammer Shock will now now only auto-aim towards your target if your mouse cursor has not moved significantly after casting Heroic Charge. Okay, that's kind of nice, because that makes it just more reliable.
They completely changed Poppy's Q, and they didn't fix Poppy Q bugs. Like, it was crazy to me that this was even existing, because, you know, like I think there was a video that made front page of Reddit, the subreddit, because he was like charging, and then it would Q in the opposite direction of his cursor.
Mm-hmm.
And he wasn't even charging anything; he was charging minions. So there used to be a bug with Poppy's Q where you would charge Q, and you wouldn't auto attack that person when you got him into the wall or when you pushed him. Like it would clear your like queued up auto attack even though you had right click on them. So hopefully this fixes it. More quality of life. It really hasn't nerfed her. I hope to still see her actually played. I would have been a big Poppy fan. Nobody playing the Lollipoppy though. Maybe that's not a LCS skin, but maybe they removed it. Too much. It's too sweet. So you know, don't want to give all those guys diabetes. But
I have that skin.
It could be cool. You know, quality of life. Once again, fix a couple bugs. Make it so her Q is more reliable to hit the target you're charging.
Yep.
So.
We got Rango Tango next up. That's Rengar, for people who don't know. Well, that's a lot of text. Let's skip ahead. Empowered Savagery, total... Okay, so damage scaling, 50% total attack damage is now 30% total attack damage, but attack damage debuff, instead of 10% bonus attack, it's now 20% bonus attack damage. Bola Strike now has a cast time of 0.25 seconds when Rengar casts it while mid-air. Rengar now properly throws his Bola Strike if he tried to do it in mid-air, but the target cursor was out of range. And then Throw the Hunt. The exclamation mark range is being increased by 200. Oh, you get more warning now. These are kind of nerfs.
It's nerfs across the board, really.
Yeah.
You know, obviously his empowered Q, it is total attack damage and bonus attack damage. So those are buffs that really don't hurt his early game, which is where you kind of start the snowball with Rengar.
Mm-hmm.
But you're not going to be able to be saved when you have a few bad ganks and you go back and you're like, hey, I'm going to get some real farm and just gank with my ult.
Yeah.
So that will nerf his mid to late game. The E nerf.
I like the E nerf personally. Like that.
It's essentially just so you can't like E, Q, W, and hit your Tiamat or Hydra mid air, like as you like come into range to somebody. You don't have like all your abilities on them before you even get to them.
Yeah, because you could basically be throwing it while you're in air, and it's already like on them once you land. It's just stupid. Personally, I think it's dumb. So.
But they also fixed it so that he'll throw it if he tried it midair, but you had your cursor somewhere else. So that's kind of Throw the Hunt's a big. I mean, that's 200 range. That's quite a bit for the exclamation point there, and should save some of those overextending bottom lanes.
Or at least give you a heads up that's coming just that second earlier. You know, you just at least are prepared for the situation at hand, and maybe that flash comes off and the Ebola misses you. Yeah, I call it Ebola. So yeah, maybe it just helps you. I mean, I'm fine with these changes. I don't really care for the champion personally, so. But I did play him the other day in stream. Felt like I couldn't do anything with him. So, but I also don't ever play him. So
only person
that
played him and couldn't do something with him because he seems like. I think I played him. What was I playing? I think we played a random Summoner's Rift.
You played,
and
I
played him.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, I don't even know what to do with this guy, and I was like messing up his combos, but I was still like wrecking people.
Oh really?
I was like, oh, just put some activate items on here, just click the buttons real fast, and just like you just cast stuff.
Well, I think the problem was we were playing against that super tanky team. You were in that game. I think you were playing Ken in that game.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right.
They had that super tanky team with that full AP tanky Rammus that kept. They had like 8. The problem is their team had like 3 of them at Hourglass. So if I jump on anyone, can't do anything.
Right. You gotta get that Rammus out of the way.
Yeah, that was.
But I mean, I was actually doing really well, I think, on Ken in that game, and I was just like, man, what could I have done to carry that a little bit better? And once again, it was like triple Hourglass. So you ult in as Ken, and they're like, oh,
nope.
I'm not going to get stunned or anything. We're just going to wait this out.
Yep. Just hang tight, boys. We'll get out of this in a minute. Next up, we have the Kench, and it's time to bench the Kench because they're nerfing him. Just kidding. He's still going to be very strong, but they are making some very proactive changes because Kench is way too damn strong right now. Also nerfed constantly like Mundo. In fact, basically, you see one of the two nerfed, and the other team has to nerf the other one, so one of the teams doesn't get one of the two super tanks at the moment. So, acquired taste passive, the stack duration is going to only be 5 seconds instead of 7, which is good. That means you won't be able to, obviously have the acquired taste up as long to get those awesome eats and tongues and all the stuns and all the other things up. So, nerf there. Tongue lash, the tongue hitbox indicator now lasts longer until the tongue finishes lashing out. So it's just, I guess this is a readability thing, which should help everybody dodge it and or cast it. So that helps a little bit. Devour, bug fixed on that, where Devour would refund its cooldown and mana cost if cast on a target that was spell immune. So that's kind of interesting. So they changed that, obviously fixed that. That's a good thing to fix. Shouldn't get that back right away. And then another one that's going to be taking a little bit of power, or tankiness at least, out of him is his ultimate's passive on Abyssal Voyage. The ratio of bonus health is coming down 2% at each rank.
Which is a lot.
Which is a good amount, yeah.
That's half of the first rank.
Yeah, it's half the first rank. So he won't be as ridiculously tanky so fast in the game. And won't get as tanky because he'll be missing 2% of that bonus health, which at 4,000 health is a little bit.
Yeah, I mean that's quite a big difference. I think isn't that the damage he does from his passive on his
that too, right?
Yeah,
so it takes damage out of him too
per auto attack.
Yeah.
After that.
Yeah, because it scales from bonus health, so he'll have less bonus health and he'll have less damage. Okay, cool. Yeah, so even better. I didn't even think about that for a second.
Yeah, so that's going to be really big. So as he hits mid to late game, he's not just auto attacking you to death with percent health damage. Well, his percent health damage, I guess.
Yeah.
So he's not just going to be putting out big damage with his auto attacks. I think we're going to start seeing him be a little bit more situational. He's not going to be catches up, got him.
Yeah.
I'll probably still play him as support every time he's open.
Yeah.
He's like a Thresh, but they don't have a choice whether to click the lantern or not. Mm-hmm. So you can save their lives no matter what. And at my elo, that's a big deal. Like people being out of position ruins games.
Oh yeah.
So you can give them a second life very often too, because the cooldown on his Devour is 6 seconds or so.
Late game?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 6-ish.
So it's pretty it's 14 seconds at first rank, 10 at last game. So it's around, once you get CDR, it's around 8 seconds, 7 or 8 seconds. So but being able to save somebody's life every 7 or 8 seconds is pretty massive. Mm-hmm. Pretty massive.
Especially a important carry.
Right.
So although people can screw it up, I did in the build once. I didn't eat you. You died in my build. Remember your grace? I thought you should.
I died a few times because you didn't eat me.
Yeah, well,
I was like, jeez.
I wasn't playing him as a support though. When I play him in top lane, I get that out of my brain a little bit. I don't think of it as eating my friends. I think of it as eating them and spitting shit at them. So less of saving other people's lives because I was in top lane by myself and it's an island and yada yada yada. So, but yeah, I like these changes. He needed to be nerfed. So, although I still think his gray health is one of his strongest parts of his kit, but this is a good way to take some of the damage out of him. So.
Yeah.
And the problem was he was too tanky and he did too much damage. You had to at least take one of those two things slightly away.
Well, and he has utility. I mean, practically perma-stun somebody if you want to just chase them down and not devour them.
Yeah.
If you never consume those stacks. I think you'll start seeing people just kind of throw some attack speed in their runes and continue to play them.
Yep. Next up, we have some item changes. We're done with the champions, but we have some important item changes. First up, Frost Queens. The active cooldown on this is not going to be 60 seconds anymore. It's going to be 90s. So.
Huge nerf. Big nerf. I mean, that's the strong part about Frost Queens was the spooky ghosts, right? Yeah. So, adding 30 seconds to that will give you a lot less. It was so spammable before. You didn't even use it in fights. You just I don't have vision. Let me just hit my ghosts and go find out where they are so I can drop some wards.
Yep.
I know those are the two closest champions. I'll drop some wards and I'll be safe.
Yep.
So going to kind of remove a little bit of that strength in clearing because, and then also moving faster when they can see the target is a big deal too. I think that'll probably stop mid laners and top laners from buying this item.
Do you want to hear something that's cool?
What's
Are they? Oh, they might not be live anymore. Never mind. I may have lied. Oh no, they're definitely doing. Yeah. Never mind. Damn it. Never mind. Continue. We
Okay.
had more viewers than Riot at one point on YouTube. At the moment.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
So close.
Yeah.
So close, but
we
so
do.
far
No,
away.
we do right now, but I think it's because they just finished. So I'll still
gotcha.
take it. I'll still take it.
That's a screenshot.
Got it.
Tweeted it out. But yeah, so now that the ghosts aren't like sprinting at a target when you're in lane, so you can't just like see somebody in lane, they pop their cooldowns, Ari's ults down or whatever, you just click the button and you run up to her and she's slowed and eats whatever skill shots you have.
Yep.
Now she'll be able to like actually get some distance before that ghost gets right on top of her.
I'm also glad they're doing this because should also probably see this lose its popularity out of mid lane.
Yeah.
Tired of seeing it there. Although I don't build it because I think it's crap. So, and it keeps getting nerfed. So guess what? It's pretty much crap. So got it. Next up, we have some gold changes. No actual statistical changes to the items, but some gold cost reductions to Morellonomicon. It's 150 cheaper. And Athene's is also 100 cheaper. And then the Dark Seal is going to be 50 cheaper. So we have some cheaperness coming to these AP items. Now, the thing you may also take away from this that also makes Frost Queens even worse is they nerfed it. They took some of the mana off of it. They took some of the spooky ghost duration out of it the last patch. They now just made the active on it longer. And now all the people in mid lane who were buying it instead of these items will now be buying these items because like, hey guys, we nerfed it again and we just made these better by buffing the cost of them. Here, please just buy these items instead. It really feels like they're trying to get it out of mid lane.
Yeah, they are trying to take that spooky ghost out of mid lane, and they are trying to get people to buy the Morellonomicon and the Untitled and Holy Grail. I mean, after the Nomicon and the debuff of like the self-healing only debuff, that it almost fell off. Like it was really popular for a while because you could nerf their self-healing, right? So if they had summoner heal, potions, all that stuff was getting reduced, and which was great. But the best part about Nomicon was like when somebody else healed them, you still had the debuff. It doesn't exist anymore. Yeah. So people thought it just really wasn't worth the gold. There are a little bit better CDR items to be had. A lot of people stopped building Athenes in favor for Rod of Ages.
Yeah.
And, Rod of Ages is still a really good item. But
it's great this season. It's statistically fantastic.
Right, it is. But the thing with Rod of Ages is we don't have really long games as much anymore. So it had to be kind of one of your first items to build. You wanted to get that stacked up as soon as possible. It was like the old Singe days where like, Rod of Ages is 16 minutes, I'm doing great.
Yeah. What are you
so
doing?
Now we'll see, hopefully, some of the Holy Grails.
I have a question for you. Is your microphone on your desk?
Yes.
Okay. Makes sense now. You bump your desk a little bit and it goes boom, boom, boom. Yep, that would be it right there. It sounds like bongos. I was
like, all animated with my hands.
No, it's all
I'm
good.
Like, listen.
Yeah, I'm playing the song of my people.
Yeah, I had it on a mic stand for a little while.
Yeah.
And when I moved my computer around, I never put it back on a mic stand because I got a little lazy.
I know what that's like.
I'll get it back up on a mic stand.
No worries. That's what I thought because I think I used to have that too. But mine's on a mic stand now. But back in the day, people were like, "What are you doing?" And I'd be typing like a fiend, and it'd be like, it's like,
oh yeah, my typing is really bad right now. Like,
oh yeah, it sounds like a typewriter, like a type office.
Those mechanical keyboards, man. That's just the way life is.
I know. Actually, my new one that I just did a review on, it's really quiet because it's got new switches in it that have never been. They're brand new. Like they're customs. They're awesome. Alpha Zulus. They're really, really nice, and they're not as loud.
I obviously watched that.
Yeah, obviously.
I know. I'm actually serious. I did.
Oh, did you?
It's, yeah.
I love this keyboard.
I might have been in the bathroom at work,
well,
but I saw you tweet it out, and I was like, oh, I'll click on it.
I'll watch this. I got time.
Yeah, the keyboard. I actually have a Cooler Master Storm right now, and I got it for free because I won a competition along with some other cool Cooler Master gear. So I've been just using that. It was mechanical. My other one wasn't. I was like, "You're in. You win."
That's the way. That's the way. Free's always good. Wall
But the Dark
collision
Seal.
detect. What?
We didn't talk about the Dark Seal.
Yeah, we did. We mentioned it. Oh, we didn't talk about coal.
We didn't talk about the gold though, because now you can get the Dark Seal and a reusable mana pot.
Oh, that's true. Good point.
So you get the refillable potion with the Dark Seal, and you can make that a legitimate start now.
That's a good point.
So
Or 3 health pots.
or 3 health pots. 2 health pots before was decent.
Three's
I would
better.
always rather have the refillable potion over 2 health pots.
That's true. I
Now
agree.
you still have that choice.
Yeah.
But he's going to be really strong, and then you could go Dark Seal, you get a kill or 2, and then go for the corrupting potion.
Yeah.
Pretty much like it says.
Yeah.
But keep that snowball going.
Yes, very true. Then there also is the coal, which is going to get 2 more attack damage, and the final payout is going to be 50 gold more. But I'm going to be honest, I still would not buy this item unless you are, in fact, the world's greatest CSer. Because it's not worth it in any way. I see people get this who are bad at CSing, and they're like, well, I'll get a better payoff once I'm done. No. Just be better at CSing. Because this is this item is built to make you fall behind. That is seriously what this item is. And people are like, yeah, but 350 gold. And all I'm sitting there is like, yes, but you just missed 40 CS, which is worth more than 350 gold.
Right.
So don't miss CS. If you are the world's greatest CSer, or you also, if you're a mid laner, although mid laners don't buy coal because they're typically not AD, ADCs, if you actually do play ADC mid, and you are the world's greatest CSer, and then you also steal the corner camps off the side of the jungle, those chickens, the little ones at least, to get to 100 quicker, then this would maybe be more viable. But besides that, for the love of God, guys, do not buy this item. It's just not worth it.
I think the only person I've seen buy the coal that's a streamer or a high tier player was the Rain Man. The Rain Man buys the coal fairly often when he goes Teemo top.
Oh.
But Teemo also has a steroid that helps him CS, gives him flat damage on his auto attacks from his E. And the Rain Man's very good at farming.
Yeah.
He is a pro level farmer. He is the type of person that's going to hit 100 CS before 12 minutes or so and get that money back immediately.
Yes, the other big thing too, because you're basically putting yourself on a time delay to get gold, if other people are good against you and they see you with this item, it's like what happens when people buy Soul Stealer. They're like, camp them, kill them, make it an inefficient item for them because you're in control of the inefficiency of their items. The same thing can happen to you with this. They will learn to zone you or make it so you cannot CS as well, and they'll deny, and that makes it even worse for you, and it puts you even further behind because you really have no active stats. Because when you go to lane with this, you go to lane with 7 attack damage. That's it. You paid for 7 attack damage. You didn't pay for extra health or lifesteal on top of that, or it's just you're literally giving them money for no stats in hopes to get a payout. So
You're just investing money.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing.
and it's terrible investment.
You really have to play it on a lane bully.
How much does coal cost?
How much does gold cost?
No, the coal.
Oh, the coal. I want to say it's a 400
I'm opening up a new tab to see.
item. I think it's 400.
I want
I
to
don't
say
think
400.
it's 350.
It's
I think it's
450.
400.
No, it's 450.
450? Ooh.
So it's 450. You get 350
So
back.
Doran's Blade.
Yeah. What's it sell for? It doesn't sell. Does it just
it
consume
probably-
it?
No, it sells. You can sell it after. So you get the final payout and you get to keep it.
But
It doesn't disappear. So
it's still not worth it.
it does net more, right? Because it almost pays itself off. And then you end up paying 50 gold for 7 attack damage, which would be really good. Excellent. But not, ends up not being, if even at 10 gold in attack damage, that's a crazy, crazy good. You think of a BF sword as what, 1350 or 1250?
Mm-hmm.
And you get not even, you get 40 attack damage? So that's you're getting triple the gold per attack damage for this item if you get it to pay out.
Mm-hmm.
Triple or quadruple. Just crazy amounts. It's really cost effective, if you don't suck at CSing and you have a lane bully like a Teemo. I mean,
Yeah.
I can't even think of another champion that you want to get it on.
Like I said, if you were a solo laner who is AD and ranged and can roam and stuff, like I'm saying, maybe Quinn and maybe Varus, you know. But even then, he wants other stuff, so it doesn't matter. You still don't want it. So, yeah. Rapid fire cannon, bug fix, where champions would run into normal attack range even when they had an empowered attack range with rapid. Oh, really? Interesting.
Quality
Actually,
life.
I think I
it's
had
the bug.
I think I actually had that yesterday when I was playing a game with Quinn. Because I kept running and I was like, why am I? And then it attacked him. I was like, okay. So.
Yeah, just one of those things for the. I think it mainly happened on champions like Quinn that had a short attack range. Like I built it on Caitlyn quite a bit, and I never really noticed it. But she also has one of the longest auto attack ranges.
Yeah.
So those guys with the short bullets and arrows are gonna feel a little bit better.
Yeah. Wall collision detection changes. This is a change to some implementations, mostly good in terms of how you flash over walls. Hooray, so changing. When somebody tries to flash over a wall or place a ward, the game tries to place you on the point where you want to go. If it can't, it starts spiraling out before arriving at a concrete location. Then it plops you in the location. Technically, this isn't consistent. Oh, this is consistent because it's... Okay, this is weird. After the change, same thing. Except you can't find a home in the wall. The system checks the closest available spot and puts you there, period. What this means, flashing over walls, wards, blah, blah, blah. Far more intuitive as to what will work and not work. If something used to work and it no longer works, that's because it wasn't supposed to in the first place, insufficient range. But the system was cheating it. Situations you need to relearn certain ways of warding over walls to get consistency. But it should make a lot more sense. Placing wards over walls, flashing over walls is more locally precise. Read the text, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so, for example, when you ward from mid-turret to the bush, you know what I'm talking about? Mid-turret to the bush, that big, thick wall. If you just click in the middle of that wall, you'll get the ward to go across to the far side every time. And it is literally about double the range of a normal ward. I believe what they're saying is this will no longer do that. Because that didn't make sense and the game was making it up, saying this is close-ish, we'll do it. And it's not.
Right. And I think it'll be a good change, but I think that some players will feel it. Players that are really good at putting wards over walls, because what I was saying before is that the way it spiraled around was like, you'll hit a further point than you actually were, more than double the effective range, because it was spiraling in that direction.
Yep.
And now it's like, well, if it's going to measure points, A, B, and C, and if B and A are closer together, it's not going to go to point C.
No.
So it'll be I mean, just more consistency. But they also said if it doesn't work now, it wasn't supposed to work.
Yeah.
Which is like preempting like people going, why the hell can't I drop this ward over this wall anymore? But it'll be good for the Skara ward. I mean, you're welcome, Skara.
Yeah.
That's the only time I can think that this is really good.
Yeah.
The Dyer's Flash would be just as hard.
Yeah.
All those places are going to be just as hard. Most walls that you flash though, and ward,
Are
like
they are real.
Bush by mid lane, right? That one bush by mid lane, dropping a ward from mid lane like over to that bush.
Yep.
Not that difficult. And there's the bottom lane one, also not that difficult.
Nope.
The bottom lane one that's going to hurt is the one where you're on top side, right? You're coming down to lane, and you are going to try to drop a ward from your tower range over into the brush on the other side. That ward will be much more difficult.
Yeah, what about red buff ward?
Red buff ward, I don't think is going to be that bad.
Okay.
I don't think red buff ward is more of like a double situation. I think it's more of a simple like, it's going to drop it to the left or right a little bit more instead of directly across.
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah, I think the big one's that mid one is going to basically be impossible. Because that was a huge range.
It was. Like, you could drop the thing, like, for forever.
I wonder if this will affect Fiddlestick's ultimate.
I mean, this...
Because you know how you can jump the big corner at the top?
Yeah, but if that... I mean, I can't handle another Fiddlesticks nerf. I just started playing him again after they changed that jungle item.
I know.
I was like, hey, this jungle item actually feels kind of good. Like you throw your crow out, it bounces. I'm like, this is
awesome.
useful. I'll upgrade it to this.
I can play him again.
Yeah.
What's next? Ooh, masteries. Lovely. So Assassin Mastery. Alone in the jungle, increased damage is exclusive against champions now. And the bonus damage, or the damage bonus, is going to be increased to 2% instead of 1.5.
So junglers are they're not gonna pick it anymore. I mean, I started using it as a jungler, so you got like free damage. It's great. But they'll probably never use it now because when is the time they're going to be 1v1ing somebody? You'd have to be fighting them in their jungle. So maybe if you're going to play like the aggressive Lee Sin, like gank him at level 2 type strat with Lee Sin or Udyr or one of those really easy early clear type champions for that extra damage. But that's such a small amount of damage early on, and so situational that it's probably still not worth it.
Yep.
Like, why wouldn't you take 15% on your buffs instead?
Yeah, true. And then there's Thunderlords. Now, this is getting a nerf and a buff, but mostly a nerf. So, what is happening is the cooldown on it is not going to be 20 seconds anymore. It's going to be 25, scaling down to 15 based on your level. So, earlier game, it's going to be on a longer cooldown. The other part of it that is a nerf is the stack decay period is now 3 seconds instead of 5, meaning you have to get your consecutive hits off in a much shorter duration of time to get the proc, meaning you have to go more ham to get it to happen. And so at later levels, yes, with 15-second cooldown and 3 seconds, yeah, I mean, you will be going ham, it will be going off, that will be happening. But earlier on, it will be more difficult to get off, and it'll be on a longer cooldown, essentially. So it will be getting a nerf in what you would call the pivotal stage of the game.
Yeah, it's probably a good change for Thunderlords, making it a little bit stronger late game because it was useless late game, it felt.
I mean, it was like fine, but it just wasn't great, yeah.
Yeah, you were like, I don't even realize that I have Thunderlords at this point in the game.
You do so much damage, yeah.
Yeah, it'll really make trading more like trading. Yeah. It won't be like, oh, popped him once, he came to CS, he backed off, popped him again, he came to CS, and then third time, boom, here comes the thunder. And they're like, where the hell did 150 by health go? I'm only level 6. Yeah. Like, that's a lot of health. So, I think it'll stop that, but the Morganas and, brands and things like that, and as supports, are still going to get that free Thunderlords proc.
Yep.
So there'll be a few champions that get that free proc, and they'll still run Thunderlords.
Yeah.
Hopefully, not everybody on the team will run Thunderlords.
No, I think that's already dying, and I already think that's a waste on a lot of champions and a lot of positions. There's better masteries, guys. There just are.
Yeah.
They've been tricked into a false sense of Thunderlords being just the best, period. If you don't know what to do at the time, sure, get Thunderlords if you don't actually know how to build your page. But there are many good choices. So.
Right.
And then on Windspeaker's Blessing, there is a change on that. Really, it's just the tooltip has been updated to reflect that. For self-heals and self-shields, Windspeaker's Blessing increases their potential, but does not provide bonus magic resist and armor. So
just a tooltip. I mean, it's the same.
It's
same thing.
Yeah.
Just people aren't going to look at it and be like, wait, what?
Huh? Yeah, none of that.
I don't get it.
Ward Debris is next.
Debris.
The Debris.
I like the cut of your jib.
Thank you. The Debris, now, instead of it lasting for 300 seconds on the map, it's only 240. Brightly glows for the first 10% of its lifespan. Stops emitting flames after 30% of its lifespan has passed. Particle visibility changes, and Debris shrinks after 60% of the lifespan has passed. This is kind of nice, in my opinion, because 300 seconds and at a constant, man, some bushes just look like they had been tortured. Like crazy amounts of just like ward death everywhere.
Right.
So this will be better, because I remember, and you'll notice this the higher and higher up I think you play in ranks. I was playing with in a game the other day, and everybody, and it was just all diamonds and plats, and oh my god, one bush seriously had like 16 marks in it, because we were all playing around that one section of the map over and over and clearing and putting vision, and like that bush just looked like a heart attack of wards. It just was crazy. So,
And the total duration is really the thing that actually changes this.
yeah.
Everything else is kind of a visual update. Reducing the total duration kind of makes sense.
Yep.
300 seconds is what, 5 minutes? How long?
Yeah.
How long do the wards last? Like, why does the bris last longer than the actual ward did?
Yes,
that's
thank
kind
you.
of weird to me. So I don't
that's true.
understand. I never really understood that to begin with.
Mhm.
So I'm glad it's getting more towards like the actual length of a ward.
Yeah, because like it's cool to see their warding habits, but maybe not their warding habits for the past 12 years.
Right.
It like shows up from where they were warding on like the game before.
Oh, these are the ones they put down the last time they did Dragon.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's silly. That seems silly to me.
Yeah. Oh, sweeping lens, scan detection, center to edge instead of center to center. Scan equality also affects Oracle's alteration. Okay.
Yeah, I don't center to edge.
This will have a very, very little impact when it comes to sweeping wards, but it should be more fun to tag fatty champions hiding in brush.
They're basically what they're saying is they're going to make it a little bit bigger because the ring on the outside, instead of going to the center of the ring, it's going to the outside of the ring.
Yeah.
So what they're saying is we're increasing the range by not increasing the range.
Yes.
So sounds good. I mean, I like the sweeping lens.
And like they said, ooh, sorry, I just choked on throw up. I didn't actually. I read I read something in chat that made me. Yeah, so yeah, don't play a fatty champion essentially. Farsight is now smaller and more lightly tinted than a regular ward icon. And then Farsight Totem now shares similar behavior with other warding actives. Your targeting cursor will now turn green when over brush and red when over terrain. So you know that you're going to be placing it in a proper location. So kind of nice quality of life changes, I'd say.
Yeah, I wonder if that works on the minimap. Do you think that'll work on the minimap?
Probably not. But
Like if you're on the minimap, it's like you're in the brush. Boop.
That would be really nice, but how...
That would be cool, but I don't know how they do
be
that.
difficult regardless.
Yeah, it's kind of nice now that you'll know what's an actual ward and what's an Oracle ward. It'll be easy to glance at the minimap and be like, hey, that's a Oracle ward. We don't have an actual ward there, so as soon as they get there, we're going to lose all of our vision.
Yep. Activating a trinket will no longer break channels, except in the case of Shen and Xerath, which we will fix as soon as we can.
Jungle Fiddlesticks buff. You can ward over the wall while you're draining. Who would have thought somebody would need that? Red buff. That's
you know why they need to fix that for those guys? Because they're gonna have people run out of vision, and like Xerath will have an oracles or a alteration, and he'll be trying to put it in the bush that the dude ran into, so he can ult into it, and he'll cancel his ult when he's trying to do that. So,
which would be funny. I mean, I'd laugh.
Yeah.
I'm not a Xerath player though, so.
Oh man, I am.
God, so hook it up. Hook it up.
So good.
Yeah.
So good.
But I'm glad they're finally buffing Fiddlesticks and nerfing Aurelia.
Hallowing Abyss, Tristan G Line, don't care. New champion select. Some changes have come to it. Skins are now purchasable. Chromas can now be selected. Ward skins can also now be selected. They need to improve that. Matchmaking improvements. They've improved at all skill levels. They've reduced time at the top MMR, so everybody watching, this doesn't affect you. And then pre-made equality. So this is the reason why when we play, or when I do fan games, guys, this is why I want you to have Curse Voice. Because right here, 5-man pre-mades now matched up against other 5-man pre-mades 98% of the time. The reason why I want you to have Curse Voice is because if we all aren't talking, we're already at a big disadvantage because it's probably a 5-man pre-made and they're probably all talking themselves to, like they're probably all talking to each other. So apart from them probably knowing each other and all talking together, like they just already have an upper hand. So get Curse Voice when we play, please. It's free. It's on every platform except for Linux, which is okay because this game isn't even on Linux.
Right.
So it doesn't even matter. So yeah, we're always going up against people who are talking. So we need to communicate too. That's all I'm saying. So
yeah, I didn't get to actually play during the matchmaking issues, like when they released it, and everybody was like, "Oh my god, these were 2 hours of my life," or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm excited to have it and be reliable. Why can't it be reliable? I don't see a reason why, like Team Builder, I've had good luck with having competitive games and not steamrolling people. Why can't it work like Team Builder? There's just more variation in this. There was a bug, I think, and I didn't say anything about this. I mean, maybe they didn't improve it at all skill levels, but there was a bug where if you only queued up for one and you didn't select the other, you automatically got that roll.
Yep.
So hopefully that's not the case anymore, because that'll ruin queue times.
It will. Skins. Obviously, you guys have seen that Radiant Wukong and the Lunar skins are available. So hooray. The Lunar skins are actually kind of neat. The Caitlyn one's real cool. The Wukong one, I haven't seen it in game yet, but the ulting particles I think are really neat. In my opinion.
Everybody loves particles, and he really doesn't have a lot of cool
skins.
Yeah, like his
the fire one, the infernal one. That
one's
was
pretty cool. And this is kind of running along that same type of thing. A lot more light, a lot more swirly things that are everywhere.
The Caitlyn skin though is really cool. The particles on her autos and the skin's really cool. The Morgana one's fine as well.
Yeah, but when did Morgana get so
sexual?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Isn't she dead?
Sade.
She's dead, isn't she?
I don't know. I don't know if she's dead. She might be. I don't know. But that's a lot of back. She's showing a lot of skin. Although that's a lot of leg on Caitlyn, so...
Yeah,
once again,
but she's always had a long range, if you know what I mean.
Oh. But that skin's real cool. And then skins coming up soon. Well, there's a pile of bug fixes, a bunch of random crap. And then High Noon Jhin, who looks interesting. Don't really... I mean, it looks interesting, to say the least. I like how... Yeah, that's just a scope on top. It's not actually double-barreled. And then we have the 3 skins for the Beast Hunters. Draven, Trendemir, and Sejuani. Who's down here? She's kind of... Sejuani's barely even in this photo. She's, like, hiding at the very bottom of it.
What I don't get about Sejuani is she's riding a beast, hunting beasts.
Well, yeah. She's hunting a beast in which...
And she has a beast head on a rope.
I mean, she is a beast.
That's hooked to its horn, and it's alive.
Yeah.
Like, she's going to have a decapitated head she's going to swing around to eat people with.
Why not? Sejuani, man.
She's not a beast hunter, she's the beast hunter, and there should just be one skin. Like,
there can only be one.
There can only be one.
There can only be one.
You can't give Draven a skin and have him share all these skins. You know what I mean?
That's true.
It's his league.
And
he's also got some really fruity colors on. I don't know why she has like these really dark, like turquoise, and is like riding crazy rhinoceros or whatever, and he's got like the rainbow chest badge flowing up to his rainbow shoulder pads, and his flamboyant Tuscan helm. I mean,
people say they look bad in game. I haven't seen them in game yet, so I don't really know.
Draven's one of those guys that I was like, man, Dravens and Graves, I could cosplay those guys.
Yeah.
But this one would never happen.
I thought about doing the Graves one once.
I get enough attention from the gamers than to dress like something like that. It's not gonna work.
Not gonna happen.
I'll go to Pantheon first.
There it is.
Ruthless Pantheon.
I can't wait. Cool. I think that's it.
And they corrected me in chat. She is not dead. She is a fallen angel.
Yes.
Which means that she was dead.
She was isn't she the sister of Kale?
Yeah, don't you have to die and then be an angel and then fall back to Earth?
I can't remember. I don't think you die. I think you just lose your wings. That's why she's not flying though in the air. That's why she walks, and that's why Kale floats, because they're sisters.
Oh. Well, we'll go with 50-50. She's half dead.
She's half dead. She's just dead enough. She's dead to me, so that's 50%.
She's dead to me.
Kidding. But that's the patch notes. That's patch 6.2. Let us know what all of you think in the comments. If what the changes are that you liked, the ones that you do not like or don't care for, because that probably happens. If you have any weird or crazy questions, obviously leave us that too. If you could also leave us a like, that would be much appreciated. And as always, if you made it to the end of this video, we love you more because it just takes so much to get to the end of a video nowadays, doesn't it? Especially when they're an hour long.
Yeah, and I didn't do any like cool tricks with like my face or my hands. I tried to get my hands up into this one. Like I was like, what do I
do with my hands?
animate this? What do I do? What do I do with my hands? You
So.
just leave them down.
Just leave them down the sides.
Yeah. So
Make gestures occasionally, but don't hold them by the face. You don't frame the face. Make the sound effects. So. But yes, that's going to be us. Thanks everybody for watching. Good luck when the patch drops tomorrow, and we'll see all of you guys next time. All right? Bye-bye.